Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Lab. I'm Jesus, and happy Thanksgiving. A few more days until Thanksgiving, and I hope it's this November's been great to you. And those of you who are traveling, and hopefully you're listening to this podcast while you're on the road or on a plane. Yeah, right. Hopefully, hey, we getting another subscriber, so we're moving on up here. But anyways, with today's episode, I was debating on what else can we do. I wanted to talk about like my favorite food or dishes or stuff like that. But I kind of wanted Jordan to join me on that, but he's not going to be able to because he's just feeling a little under the weather. But I did see a movie yesterday, a Thanksgiving movie, and it's a movie that I've talked about plenty of times, and a movie that there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies out there, and so this is a movie that I actually watch every Thanksgiving. As you know, one of my favorite movies is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's an amazing movie, top 10 movie, not just Thanksgiving, but just top 10 movies of all time for me. But there is another movie that is kind of like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I call it the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles Light, or the Wish version, or the Temu version, or the whatever, the Kroger brand version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And that is a little movie called Dutch. Dutch came out in, I think it was 1991. It came out in 1991, and it stars Ed O'Neill. He's from Married with Children and Modern Family. But when this movie came out, Married with Children was probably like his most famous thing. It also, it also stars Ethan Embry. Ethan Embry is, you would probably recognize him from some of his when he was like teenager stuff. He was in like Can't Hardly Wait, Empire Records, That Thing You Do, Vegas Vacation. He was Rusty in Vegas Vacation, and Can't Hardly Wait. He was like the main character, and That Thing You Do, he was like the bass player. But anyways, he plays like a 12-year-old in this movie, and so anyways, the story of Dutch is that Ed O'Neill is dating this one lady. And she, what's her name? Her name is, I forget her name in the movie, but anywho, the whole point is that he's dating her, and she kind of got married into money, so she doesn't have money. Well, let me rephrase that. She's married into money, so the guy that she married, he has a lot of money, and like they're divorced, so he just kind of pays her off. Like she has a house, and he gives her money. And the husband, or the ex-husband, or the father of their child is Shooter McGavin. Well, everyone knows him as Shooter McGavin, but his name's Christopher McDonald. But he so he got married. Her name was in the Dutch, the movie. Her name's Natalie, and so she had, I don't know if it was an affair. She just had a child with Reed, who is Shooter McGavin in the movie. I'm just going to keep saying Shooter, because if I say Christian McDonald, maybe you know him, but everyone knows him as Shooter. But anyway, so they have a child, Ethan Embry, whose name is Doyle. And so anyways, Doyle's he's just like a total snobby little bratty prep kid. And Dutch, who is Ed O'Neill's character, he's a total blue-collar working man. And so he suggests that he wants to go pick up Doyle from his private school, which I'm assuming, I don't remember if they really state, but I'm assuming it's about like 3 states away. So it's probably, I'm thinking it's probably like anywhere between like maybe a 10 to 12 hour drive. Natalie wanted Doyle to take a plane, but he wouldn't get on and everything. He's kind of a punk to his mom as well. But anyways, Dutch goes and picks him up, which is really weird because he doesn't really know him, and to kind of have like a stranger in a sense, like he knows it's his mom's boyfriend, but to kind of have a stranger go pick him up, it's kind of weird that he'd want to go with him anyways. So anyways, Dutch goes to Doyle's school, and hilarity ensues because Doyle thinks he's a stranger and beats him up and all this stuff, or shoots him with a pellet BB gun. But anyways, so Ed O'Neill gets Doyle, and they start the whole like road trip. And so, like I said, this movie is it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles Light, because it's a road trip holiday movie. So just like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving. This is also a movie where they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving. Um, and so it's kind of follows that like that story arc, and it is a John Hughes movie. It was written by John Hughes and produced by John Hughes. It just wasn't directed by him. It was directed by Peter Fairman or Feynman. But the thing is, I've watched this movie plenty of times, and when I've seen the movie, I remember seeing it as a kid, and I've always loved it as a kid, and I just I thought it was great. But just on this recent rewatch, I just noticed something, and maybe it's because it's getting time for planes, trains, and automobiles and all that stuff, and that movie is just so good, and it's just like the chemistry between John Candy and Steve Martin is impeccable. Like they are just like, you know, fire and ice or whatever things, peanut butter and jelly. Like they just work so well together. And Dutch. So Ed O'Neill, I mean, he's great in the movie. And Ethan Embry, for his age, is like I think he's maybe he's 12 or 14 in the he's playing a 12-year-old, but I mean he could be anywhere between 12 to 15 in real life. But like their chemistry is great because Ethan Embry's character plays a really snobby kid like really, really well. And Ed O'Neill plays a blue collar, just kind of like Al Bundy kind of type of character, like really well. But there's just something's missing. There's just something missing in the movie. Like it doesn't hit the mark. Like the whole movie, like I like the idea of the movie. Obviously, the road trip, trying to get home for the holidays. Like I love that concept. And there's they run into things where their car gets stolen or sorry, that's not true. Their car doesn't get stolen. Like Doyle takes the car and parks it in front of a semi, and it's a real like punkish move because the semi crushes the car, and he does that because he's mad. And you think like, wow, that's not even like funny or like it's not even like in a slapstick campy type of way. It's like in a total like I don't know, like psychotic type of way. Like, man, this kid has issues. And they even said in the movie like, oh, he's got issues, and it's like, okay, maybe he does. Maybe he has a lot of issues. But it was just very like I don't know. And not that it always has to be campy and slapstick, but the jokes didn't land too well. I think part of the thing was like the chemistry between Doyle and Dutch, Ethan Embry and Ed O'Neill, is that they both played their characters well. I guess you could say individually. Like individually, they played them well. Like Ethan Embry played a perfect snobby, punk preppy kid, and Ed O'Neill played an awesome, hilarious blue collar. But their chemistry just was just off. Like I'm not gonna say it was off in the sense where it didn't work, because it did work, but it wasn't like memorable, this showing. I don't know. Maybe I was off. Maybe it wasn't, because I love this movie. I've showed this movie to my wife and other friends. I'm like, this is a great Thanksgiving movie, because there's not a lot of great, and it's a John Hughes movie. It's a John Hughes written by, but I felt like the execution wasn't as polished or as funny as it could have been. So I mean, their car gets destroyed, so they have to kind of like find a way to get home. But then Ed O'Neill it's like with planes, trains, and automobiles, it's like they took all the wrong routes. Like it's shown in the movie that like if Steve Martin's character stayed and just waited for the red eye, all the planes that were delayed, and he just waited, he would have gotten home like that night or that morning anyway, the following morning. But instead, he listened to Dell, and they went in the cars and stayed in the motel, then went by train, and then but all these things happened for a reason. It was a series of unfortunate events that they kind of just got into, and it just led into the idea of that's why there were planes, trains, and automobiles to get home. Their wallets got stolen, so they had no money, so they had to find a way to get home. And this one, like Ed O'Neill's character Dutch is purposely trying to make it a road trip. So yes, the conflict was that Doyle wouldn't get on a plane to go see his mother, so Dutch had to go pick him up. Well, he didn't have to. but he wanted to. So it's like, okay, let's suspend our belief that, he would even go with Dutch. And the thing is, he didn't want to. Dutch kind of took him. But then the following thing is like, their car gets destroyed, but Dutch has money, so they can still fly home. But Dutch wants to figure out a way to kind of break Doyle, and get to know him, but kind of just break his character because he's just being very snobby and punkish, bratty, bullyish, whatever. But then he loses his money. Their wallets get stolen by someone else, and then they really don't have any means of getting home. But then when this stuff starts happening, then it's kind of rushed a little bit. And it's kind of weird because like instead of like the slow like build up of Doyle's character, Ethan Embry's character, building up and being like, okay, you're kind of likable and kind of like, oh, like he's worth, the process of seeing his story arc. It's like he doesn't really like. It's almost like he just does a 180, and you're like, wait, what? Like now he's just nice. Like there's a little process, but it's just like it kind of just comes in like the third act. Like they go to like a homeless shelter, and I guess he kind of sees like the struggle from other people and stuff like that. He has like a really good talk with some homeless lady or a family, and the mom's like transient, and they just talk about stuff. And then it's just kind of like, okay, now I see like his whole view on everything has changed. And it's just kind of like, okay. And I remember watching it thinking like, okay, like there's some funny and cool parts in the movie that I like, and it's memorable, but it's just like the chemistry was not there for a John Hughes movie. But like I said, it was a box office bomb, unfortunately. I remember when we rented it and I'm like, oh, this movie's great. But it has a cult following. I would definitely check it out because there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies out there anyways. Like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for sure. And then there's that Howard Heist has been advertised, but it's not a Thanksgiving movie. It just takes place during like the Macy's Thanksgiving parade or whatever, but it's not a Thanksgiving movie. But Dutch, it is a Thanksgiving movie. They're trying to get home for Thanksgiving, all this stuff. So anyways, if you have time, which most of us do, some of us might have Wednesday, Thursday, and or Friday off, pop in Dutch. Definitely watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's a gimme. But give Dutch a try. Like I said, I could be off, but I do like this movie. There's a lot of funny parts. It just hits the mark a little bit. It's like if you think of like, football, Thanksgiving and football. Say it's like, the football team comes in with a record, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, they're the coup de grace of Thanksgiving movie. So that their record would be like, they're like, 10-0, Dutch is kind of like sitting at like 7-3, 6-4. Like it's good, but it just kind of misses the mark here and there. But anyways, I didn't want to really spoil too much, but I was just giving you a little, synopsis vignette of what Dutch is. And yeah, so happy Thanksgiving. And if you have a chance to catch a flick tomorrow or today or even on Thanksgiving, give Dutch a try. It's a John Hughes movie from 1991 starring Ed O'Neill and Ethan Embry. All right. Until next time, happy Thanksgiving from Guys Night Lab. Take care. Bye.